Welcome back, man. You know what? Look. Wait, hold on. Let's do this before we start. Look, what's wrong with this?
Okay. Oh, it says Thursdays and today's Wednesday.
It's Wednesday. What's up, Nicole?
Hey. How you
Happy
doing?
Wednesday, Queen.
Happy
Chilling,
Wednesday.
waiting on Frank.
Wednesday.
Let's
do
My
this.
gosh, our laptop is having issues.
Uh-oh.
I was watching Clue.
The show?
The movie.
That old school movie? I remember that.
Yes. Cracking up.
Wasn't that a game too or something like that?
Yes. Love the movie.
Dang. I forgot there was a movie.
Oh, goodness.
I watched the Judas the Black Messiah.
Oh, that movie is so good.
Hey, watch this movie. Just kidding.
Hey, Frank.
Hey.
Hey,
It's part 2 of Frank.
He's so funny.
What's up?
What's
The gang's
up?
all here.
The gang's all here.
Welcome everybody to another East County Voices and our new time Wednesdays at 8 p.m. So disregard what you guys saw because what was this more? Hey,
we'll work
just
on it.
subscribe. Yeah, subscribe always. We need the subscriptions and like all.
And just get the word out.
Anyways, yeah, get the word out.
Yeah.
So what do we got on for tonight?
Well, we're voting next week. Okay, let's talk politics. Y'all know we love some good politics and policies and community issues.
Oh my gosh.
Hopefully we have someone jump in, a friend from Florida. He's in a forum right now on the East Coast. So hopefully he'll tap in at some point. But yeah, the topics of tonight, we're gonna go through our introductions, of course, community updates, cover Timmy. What's the political climate like in Florida? If my friend hops on, the policies that they try to pass, banning books. What's our climate in Contra Costa? And then we'll go around the round robin of what policies have we been part of, because I know you advocates have been part of some things historically here in our little corner of the country. And then I would love to hear Miss Nicole's recommendations on local elections, what propositions, why.
Dun, dun, dun.
Might roast a few folks running, I might because these little flyers out here got
you should have seen the commercials. I told you I was just watching Clue, right? So the trash commercials that they have out about Chanel and about the city of Pittsburgh, the lies are just, it's so much that my mayor and vice mayor put out a statement yesterday because they're over it. They're tired of the lies.
Let's pull that up too. Okay. And then, so we'll talk about all of that. Also, a little bit on the DOJ in the building. And then some reminders to tell our people to vote, because people literally, that's one of those policies that got put into place because people fought for it. People fought for that. There was once upon a time, Native Americans, African Americans could not vote. And women couldn't vote. In the South. They're still playing. And then let's talk about the walk for Timmy, the walk/march for Timmy and his vigil.
Coming up Saturday.
And court for Lynette and Kimberly Kidd for Linda Woolbridge on Wednesday.
Wednesday the 6th. That's correct. Okay. What do I have on the 6th? I'll have
8
to
a.m.
cancel. I'll cancel my mental health appointment.
No.
No.
Damn.
Are you sure?
I mean, is it at 8 in the morning?
Frank said no.
Y'all need me sane.
You need
Okay.
your mental.
Is it at 8 in the morning?
It's at 10.
Oh, no,
this is
you'll
a
be
night.
good.
Oh,
We're
this
going
is
to be
a-
there at 8 in the morning.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. And it's
You might need
virtual.
it after this.
Yeah, you good.
I will after these elections. After this, what we talk about tonight. Sheesh. Okay, well, let's go through with some community updates.
Yeah, let's do that.
There was a school board tonight. I didn't go, but I'm thankful that there was an older establishment before. The superintendent, she got fired. Great. The equity audit happened. Amazing. So there's good things coming for the kids as
Yeah.
long as we have the right people to go into the space. Because that equity audit, once upon a time, Dominique King ran for a seat against Mary Rocha. If Mary Rocha would have lost, that equity audit would have happened a long time ago.
Yes.
4
it would
years
have.
ago.
Yes.
4 years ago.
Yes.
But that's the consequence of elections when you have folks that just get in their positions, they're cozy, and they continue with business as usual.
Holding titles. And and to go along with that, I wish I had known I didn't know there was a meeting tonight, but the children want to vote. So we're trying to lower the age of voting to 16 because they want to vote for their school board officials because it does affect them directly. So pretty much I think Pittsburgh is on board, so we just need to get Antioch on board, and that's what Miss Patty's gonna be working on with the babies. Yeah.
Yay! When do we start that? I haven't reached out yet. I haven't heard anything.
So
But
I think we're gonna do the public speaking class on Wednesday afternoon. So we'll talk to Miss Veronica for sure, but I think so because she was saying Wednesday is good. So
in the afternoon during school
Mhm.
hours.
After school, I guess they get out early, so
Okay.
like probably 2:30ish, 3.
Okay. We'll coordinate.
Okay.
Hell yeah. And then how much time do I get with the kids?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
The most important thing in these workshops that we've been giving is like how to access, like how do you even navigate to the school board meeting or the city council meeting or the board of supervisors. So making it accessible for people is really important. And then just getting folks to find their voice, everyone has their own agenda, like, or their own initiative. Like in this case, they want to fight for a local election decrease in age requirement. I love it. And it's
They can get
possible.
ready. Yeah. And Miss Veronica's good on bringing them to the meetings. She brings them to city council meetings. So
Okay. I look forward to connecting with them and just showing them what using our voice does, because we've used our voices in many spaces. And with our community conversations that we've been holding for the past year, and as we continue, hopefully we'll inspire some people to find their voice and get cozy and understand that every voice matters.
Yes.
Citizen or not, we people power. So
yeah.
what other community updates before we start sharing a little bit of
Evan got an award.
Evan
Him and Carlos were both nominated for awards.
Jose?
And, for the Bay Area Creative. So that was pretty. It was a pretty dope event. It was great. Lots of good poetry and dancing and just. It was really really nice. And I'm really proud of Devin for getting an award.
Yeah.
So
And not this
that was
Carlos.
great. That was great. And
This
Carlos got an award too. He just didn't get like the extra award with the plaque. So as far as we're concerned, he got an award too.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But this Carlos is getting recognized on the 12th.
Yes.
So we'll be there too. So well done, Carlos, Jose, Devin, all the amazing community work being done. Absolutely. What else? Board of Supervisors last week. They passed it. Lots of work that's going to be coming out from it to make sure that families get a little financial help. That's all we want. A little bit of, you know. So that was a win for our community. And with that, anything else that y'all
Look,
think?
something that Barbanica would not have voted for.
Absolutely
Uh-oh.
not.
He would not have, just like he didn't vote for housing and any of the other things we wanted.
No, the scary thing is that he's on his way to continue to stonewall accountability. And if he goes to the county, we can be sure that he's going to stonewall any kind of tenants' rights, tenant protections,
And the
police
sheriff and the
accountability.
coroner being separated, all of that.
Not, yeah. I mean, I would like to be, hopeful, but
No.
the reality is that in my opinion, supremacists exists in different forms and different platforms, and that's in that arena, like supremacists in the real estate market. There's amazing property owners that I know that treat their tenants with dignity and respect, and don't raise the rents on them, and make sure that they're in safe, habitable living conditions. But there's other ones that not so much.
Right.
But yeah.
Right.
Frank, what's on your mind?
Timmy.
Yeah. Let's share. There's an article where the family is calling for reopening the case. 1985 suspicious Concord suicide case. Let's go ahead and let's read that through. I have it on my screen.
Real quick, Darwin is trying to. Looks like it says it won't let him on unless he connects their microphone. They have to connect their mic before we can add them on to the show. Darwin, is that who you're waiting for?
Yes.
All right. So I'll go ahead and share the screen with what you want me to share it?
There we go. Yep.
Bang.
Yeah.
Can you help Darwin with the tech support? All right. This is Timothy Charles Lee. Go ahead,
and
Frank.
that's Patty's beautiful art there. Thank you so much. And that's my my handsome, great looking cousin.
Handsome.
I feel we look a lot alike.
Yep, you do.
By the way, he's 23 there. I'm already 53, so I'm 30 years older. But when I was 23, I feel like he looks a lot like me. So I have a connection to him that way. But yeah, that's my beautiful cousin. And that article today, thank you, Allie Brown of Bay City News, who wrote a great detailed story. It's like the most detailed story that we've had in the 3 years, now reaching 3 years that we've been working on, Timmy. She went deep into the past and looked at the documents that I shared with her with all the history. So yeah, you could search this particular article right here, got picked up by KTVU, and they posted it on their site because Allie Brown is a writer for Bay City News, which is like a wire service, so other stations can pick it up. So KTVU picked up her story, and it's a great story. I thanked her so much for this, and because of her story, I got a call today from KCBS Radio. And I don't know if anybody's KCBS fans, but I listen all the time. So if you stream KCBS on your radio later on your computer, you might hear a 1 minute feature story that also did very well. Thank you, Shannon. I'm blanking on her last name right now, but she's a reporter for KCBS that's going to be working in our area. So I'll make sure I get her name completely, and I'll look it up while we're talking. And she's kind of filling in where I don't know, Carlos and other folks that go to all the press stuff. Chris San Carlos from KCBS, he used to always come out. He would always clip his little mic up there, and he has moved on. So Shannon is coming his place, and I want to thank her for coming out to Antioch today and interviewing me at the Antioch City Park. And I did get a third call today, believe it or not, from KALW Radio in San Francisco. So I'm going to be working with them, but they will probably just show up at the event and do a story from the event. So I'm very excited about this year's walk, and check out that story. If you just Google Timothy Charles Lee and then put in KTVU or Bay City News, you'll get the article and you can learn a lot. Also, I've been posting a lot more on Timmy's Facebook page. If you all remember, we posted the article with the KKK being recruited in Contra Costa County, and we kind of posted the picture of the newspaper article, and you had to click on it and like download it and zoom in on it. It was hard to read. Well, this past couple of days, I transcribed the newspaper article so you could actually read it very easily, and that's on Timmy's Facebook page. We opened the case of Timothy Charles Lee, and you can really see what was happening just the years right before Timmy was killed. And I don't know if people, I didn't really kind of tell the story, but just a thumbnail sketch of it. As Patty mentioned, my cousin was found basically lynched in a tree at the BART station in 1985 after he fell asleep on his way home from BART. He lived in Berkeley, and he didn't get the chance to transfer when he fell asleep, and he ended up at Concord and had to get off the train because of the last train thing out here. And he called for a ride home and was waiting for a call back at the payphone. And then the next day he was found hanging in a tree. And there's a lot of evidence pointing to crime, including neighbors in the area that heard screaming in the night, cars peeling out. And one of the eyewitnesses said that she saw, her name was Marilyn Hannum, and she said she saw, after she heard the screams, she ran out of her house to the BART parking lot. She saw a group of men surrounding another person who was leaning over the hood of a car doing something like writing. And about 10 feet away, she saw a uniformed officer. So that was what the one witness that actually heard screaming, ran outside and looked, that's what she described under hypnosis. So anyways, that's why we are now still fighting. This is the third year I've taken up this fight, just because I was like, oh my God, this is my cousin. This is my dad's sister's son. So this is basically me, but my dad's sister's version of me is how I kind of look at it, to kind of personalize it for me. It's like, I would hope that if it was me and my dad's, if Timmy was here, that he might do it for me too, you know?
Right.
And if he was, it's coming up on 40 years. This is going to be 39 years. If they were in their 20s, they might just be 63 years old right now, just hanging out in Concord with their kids or their grandkids. Or maybe they're just like a reclusive guy in a shack living all by themselves. Who knows? But they
or
could
maybe they're in a really high detective position in the FBI.
You never ever know. And that's why I think it's important that somebody looks into this. And I'd like to get his case changed to a homicide instead of a suicide. And so they could reinvestigate this and reopen this case and actually do an investigation from the point of view of a man that got lynched in a tree.
Right.
Instead
of just a man that they say killed himself.
And he definitely didn't.
He had his scholarship in Milan, Italy to look forward to. And this artwork, the inspiration was because when Frank said that he was a fashion designer, he was a student of San Francisco Academy of the Art. And so with his picture, I created something like kind of like Andy Warhol and the fashion design industry from that era. So that was the inspo for this piece to honor your cousin. So yeah, let's reopen that case for Timothy Charles Lee. We have another guest, community advocate, leader on the show. Thank you, Lauren, for joining us. We were just talking about, we're doing community updates and uplifting the reopening case of Timothy Charles Lee, because we will be having a walk this Saturday. So that's what we're up to. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you, and thank you for the literal wake up call. Yeah, so that's I'm present and awake now.
All right. We're talking politics tonight. We're going to go over, we did some introductions, community updates, and then we're going to talk about why policies matter. So I think we can transition and talk about why policies even matter. Then we'll get into what's the political climate in Florida, hoping that our friend from Florida jumps on. And then the policies that they've had as far as trying to ban books, banning history, because that's a real thing. And it's hard to believe it, but if you hear it from someone from Florida, it might make you, come like wake up a little bit. So hopefully people can understand that reality, that there's people actively trying to block the history. I mean, it's never been written to begin with. So, and then what's the Contra Costa climate? We'll go through a round robin of policies that we've all been a part of, because as advocates here, we've all been part of something bigger than ourselves. So let's talk about that. And then we'll get into political smears in our community. And then Nicole's recommendations on local elections, props, and a little bit on the DOJ that's been in the building, and telling folks to vote because it's a policy. People made a policy. And Nicole was telling us that there's some youth that's going to try to fight to tell us again, Nicole.
They want to get the voting age lowered to 16, and they want to be able to vote for school board officials because it does directly affect them, and they should be allowed to. And then it also gets them ready for voting in these type of elections. And if they want to be involved, that's great, because they should be. And it should be taught. It should be something they're learning in school. They should be learning about government. It's really important. They're supposed to take civics and all that stuff. So it's really important that they do that.
Yeah. So let's go in a circle. Thank you, Nicole, for sharing, because that's some youth that they reached out, and we're going to just show them the ropes. Like, this is where you go and make a public comment. This is how you write something up, whatever your what is it that your community wants from leadership. So heck yeah, that's our right. That's our right. So why do policies matter, Lauren? Can you tell us, in your opinion, why do policies matter?
For someone who is new in this space and really discovering the importance, because I've heard my entire life about the importance of being politically active, but I've also heard my entire life that Black folks that aren't that politically active, and especially now, when I was growing up as a young man in 1964, the year of civil rights, basically, that was the height of Black involvement in our political system, and the policies that were put in place in 1964, the Civil Rights Act, was supposed to have very powerful effects. 1965, the what was it? The Immigrant Rights Act of 1965, that was very powerful. Even today, there are folks in our country, the only reason they are here is because of that law from 1965. And so that's one of the things that, one of the newer lessons that I learned was how over my lifetime has been kind of like a yardstick for the effectiveness of certain policies, and also because of strong opposition and racism, and all kind of other isms, other laws like the Civil Rights Law and Policy of 1964 has not been as effective, and also because it's been picked apart, even all the way up to affirmative action that they just recently took away. All of those things came and were designed to help advance the progress for the descendants of American slaves, and that progress has never really been realized in this country for that group who helped create policy that other populations are definitely winning from, because if you look at the situation in Silicon Valley, that the top tech companies in 1998, when I started in tech, I was always the only black man in the building that wasn't emptying garbage cans or wiping down tables or serving food or something like that. But none of us were working in tech back then. And then you fast forward to 2016 when they did a survey of all the tech companies, and black and brown folks only made up 2 to 3% of their employee base, but only 25% of them were actually working in tech. The rest of them were emptying garbage cans and wiping down tables. And so, you know, and my last job was working for Hewlett Packard in Portland, Oregon. At 50 years of age, I had some white dude half my age tell me the only reason I'm in the building is because I'm the team token. Now, I've probably forgotten more stuff about working on computers than he's learned so far. But that's the environment that has been created where black and brown, natively born black and brown folks are underrepresented, but foreign born, and I'm not, you know, dumping on my foreign kinfolk. I'm just pointing out the fact that South Asians and East Asians are overrepresented in that tech space, and those are very good paying jobs. And those folks are benefiting specifically because of that policy that was passed, you know, 50 years ago. So that's the importance of policy, is that it is affecting the rights of all kinds of folks even today. And so that's why I'm involved in advocacy now, because I see the importance of policy, but I also see how I've been able to shape policy in just a short period of time that I have been in this space as well.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, Lauren. Lots of knowledge. I do want to welcome another guest on our show, all the way on the East Coast from Florida, Darwin. Thank you so much for joining our community conversation. I know you have a lot going on in Florida. Would you like to give us just a quick introduction? I'll tell you who we are here. We have Nicole, Frank, Lauren. We're all community advocates in our little corner in Contra Costa County. So tell us about you and your amazing work that you've done, so we can talk about supremacism and all the isms in politics.
Well, I've been pretty busy out here on the East Coast. I pretty much do a lot of background stuff surrounding the community, dealing with police brutality out here, considering the fact that I have a small background in law enforcement and dealing with the judicial system out here in Florida. So I kind of know my way around, you know, certain things when it surrounds the community being mistreated by law enforcement, the inmates inside the jail not being properly treated right, not being able to have phone calls to their family members, things of that nature. So I do have the inside connections inside the jails, some of the prisons. Also, I do have a family member that actually works for the EEOC. He's a director out of the Atlanta division. So if anybody has any issues surrounding, you know, discrimination within the workplace, you know, I do have that inside knowledge as to how to approach the HR department if you're not getting the right answers from the HR department. So if you need to file a lawsuit against your employer, I know the channels to get you in to, you know, get the right answers to what you need to do. So I'm pretty groomed.
All right. What are we going to do about these policies and our people out here in Antioch, you know, Darwin? Tell us a little bit about the policies in Florida. Were they not, or were they trying to pass to block and ban history books in the school district?
So it's pretty much widespread throughout the state. We just had a whole bunch of Moms for Liberty, like women run for the school board, like commission seats and so on and so forth. And a lot of the voters actually pushed back once the word got out who they were. So I attended a couple of school board meetings that were like close to the counties that I live in Central Florida. So I was able to attend some of the meetings when parents were out with the school boards to say, hey, are you guys really familiar with who Moms for Liberty is, what they're about? And half of the parents that were in there, they didn't know anything about like what Moms for Liberty were about until this big accusation that came forward with one of the I think she was like on a county seat, and the husband was like a Republican for the state. And they were involved in like this menage a trois, so to speak. And then that's when all the parents were like, wait a minute, we heard about that. And once that got out to them, they was like, no, we don't need this kind of behavior or people represent our school districts, because only thing that we know, what policy are they going to implement into our school system coming from the radical right? And of course, most of you probably know in the state of Florida, we're ran by Republicans here. And Republicans have had a grip on our state going back to Gore versus Bush, where later on doing some research, I found out that the supervisor of elections throughout the state, certain parts of the state, they were taking people from out of the state of Texas, like their identity, and using it into the ballots here and counting them as votes. So that's how basically Bush was able to win the state of Florida. So it's been corrupt here for a very long time here, and it's pretty fucked up.
And shout out to you and the research that you do, because I love telling my people, hey, there's this guy on the East Coast. He schooled me on Project 2025 back in 2023.
Yeah, I knew about it like way back due to the fact of my cousin was a judge before he became a director for the EEOC. And he started telling me, he's like, hey, just want to give you a heads up what's about to happen, because if Donald Trump gets into office, it'll affect his job too, because he's a director at the federal level. So a lot of the right wing, like big money, like donors, they want to get rid of the EEOC. So with my cousin being a former judge and a lawyer, he's very knowledgeable about what's really going on from like the federal standpoint. He's like, no, people need to really wake up and realize if you're having problems on your job, or if your child is having problems like at school, you're not going to have that protection to go to with the EEOC, or if you're going for a civil rights attorney that's trying to file a lawsuit in court for your child, being discriminated against at school, or if you got a family member that's being mistreated inside the jails and you try to file a lawsuit, the Supreme Court has got their eyes and sights on the Civil Rights Act, like right now. And a lot of people don't know that.
Okay.
So with that being said, like just recently here in Florida, over on the East Coast of Florida, some officers ended up tasing a guy that was running from them, and they tased him. He was up in a tree. Well, the guy he broke his spine, so he's paralyzed from the neck all the way down. So the agency that the officers work for, they're trying to basically cover up for the officers that tased the guy and broke his spine. So it's getting bad out here, real bad. And people need to wake up and understand what we're really up against. And I don't care if you're white, black, Hispanic, Asian. What Donald Trump and his posse they got in store, it's not good. It's not good at all. And the way that I see it, in my mind, I feel like they're trying to take this country back to just pretty much a predominantly strong grip hold white society.
Well, let me tell you, we did have a comment in the comments saying that your cousin doesn't know SHIT, and that's okay. The haters are gonna hate, and that
I'm
they
not
can
worried.
watch.
I'm not worried about that.
Right. Let me tell you
I'm
about
not.
what's going on in Contra Costa County, Darwin, because the supremacy was in the city. They ran the city. They were in the school district. The superintendent finally got fired, but she would weaponize the police to file restraining orders against parents, discouraging them from any involvement. That superintendent got fired recently, but coincidentally, she's also the wife of a former Antioch police chief, who under his leadership, a lot of police brutality went on. Then we have all the way up to the commissions, the judges that have implemented some harsh punishments for Black and brown folks for a very long time. But the problem that we have out here is that the officers that murdered people, that abused people, violated civil rights, violated human rights, they're chilling. And so we're kind of like, the Department of Justice has arrived. We're holding these forums with them, but it's really just data collection for now. So what hope or what can we do as a county to make sure that these officers, because they're getting so organized that we have a Republican who changed his political to Democrat 2020 when he came into office. He has a real estate business called Blue Line Realty. And then every time we try to pass these policies to protect families from getting evicted or harassment or high rent increases, he would not partake. But now he's giving up his seat at the city and going for the county. This is scary, Darwin, because then everything that we've worked for, it's like he's going to go up there and try to stonewall accountability.
You're gonna have to expose him. You got to expose him like face on. That's the only way people are gonna know what he's trying to do. Like, he's in it for his own personal political gain. Mm-hmm. If you really think about it, it's about power and it's about money with this guy that's trying to go to the next level.
Yeah.
So
and they've been spending a lot of money on these little campaigns, and ask me who it's paid for. Just somebody ask me.
Who paid for
Who paid for it? Because the commercial not by anybody.
It's paid for by the California Real Estate Independent Expenditure Committee, California Association of Realtors, Ad Committee's top funders, National Association of Realtors, California Association of Realtors. And yeah, they're really pushing for getting.
But so there's to tell him the rest, that his son is PD, that his daughter is a DA.
Tell us more, Nicole. Yes,
so they're all connected.
Oh yes.
And you know what their slogan is now? They want to take America back. Take it back.
Yeah, that's what they want to do. But as Blacks, Hispanics, we got to stand together, man.
Yeah,
we got to.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the battle that we up against right now, because we have a bunch of people that are like Black conservatives. I mean, don't get me wrong, I do have conservatives in my family, but I have to educate them as well. It's like, what really has the conservative party, like far as Republicans, like strong-nosed Republicans, what have they really done for you? Like, you had to really like grind from the bottom up. You didn't have that silver spoon or that silver platter that was handed to you, unlike some of these other people that fought their way into politics.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Indeed. And what's crazy, it's like, even when we were trying to pass the 100% body and dash cams, how long has that technology been around? Anybody? From police officers?
Many years.
I remember they're bad boys, and then, right? Like, and then we did not get body and dash cams until 2021. And even then, this Barbanica guy that's running for the Board of Supervisors seat, he had tried to justify like a big contract for a taser manufacturer to use their specific equipment. But our majority council did not allow that. We followed through and went through with what we needed, which was accountability and starting with 100% body and dash cameras. Also, Darwin, one community member that's a private investigator, he's worked for different police departments and this and this and that. He's a racist dude also. And we had this conversation. I was like,
very
look,
much so.
He's made a lot of racist comments, but even he's coming forward. He came through with a statement. He's talking cadaver dogs, and he knows where one of the bodies. Like, it's crazy. But
so why hasn't this information been turned over to the FBI?
We need to go past to the DOJ. We are there now. We're there now.
Oh, so you at the DOJ now?
Oh yeah. We sent them his statement, and they've been showing up. They did a first community forum in person in the city of Antioch out here last week, and then they had a virtual one the beginning of this week. So they're actively collecting data and taking reports, and we're submitting as much as we can. But
Correct.
the only thing they can do later is make recommendations, and all we want is for accountability. I mean, if that was anybody else terrorizing and celebrating the torture of another human being, where would they end up? In jail, right?
Yeah.
I mean, why would they be collecting and be on paid administrative leave?
Yeah. See, that got to stop. That just got to stop altogether, because it's not right to us if somebody in our family or you and I, we get brutalized by law enforcement and they get put on desk duty while they're collecting the paycheck. Yeah, I get that they got a family to take care of, but at the same time, why are they still being compensated for their actions when they know they breaking department policy?
With our tax dollars? What?
Correct. I mean, how is that fair to us when we got to still continue to, give them a paycheck after they done beat the shit out of somebody or violated policy, and then you got, the watch commanders that are covering up for them.
I saw a video on YouTube last night that was about the Fontana Police Department and white supremacy. And it was, all of the folks, with the exception of one white officer, they were Latino or Black officers who were in that story, talking about their experiences working in that place for many, many years. And one of the questions, one of them asked, well, why did you stay? And they kept saying, well, I was just trying to help change the system from the inside, right? But the thing that struck me was that they showed the picture, they blurred out most of the autopsy, but they was talking about how they had found this Black man who had been stabbed to death behind a Kentucky Fried Chicken, and that during the autopsy, one of the white officers went from his box of chicken that he had for lunch and went and got one of the bones out of it and stuck it in the dude's hand, and then took a picture and cracked a joke about he was able to finish his chicken while he was being stabbed to death.
What?
Yes, watch it. The video is on YouTube. It's called Fontana PD White Supremacy. And they'll actually show the actual photograph of this brother's hand, like this, and there's a piece of chicken, eaten piece of chicken propped up in his hand next to, and you can see the rest of his a part of his body right there. So he was on the autopsy table when this was going on.
Oh, so they did an inside joke about it too.
Yeah. Now, they go into the history of how Fontana, like a lot of cities in Los Angeles, Richmond, for example, the city that I grew up in, went from 28,000 to 120,000 people in 2 years during the war. And most of those people came from the deep, deep South, white and Black, looking for work out here in the West. And so a lot of California was basically transplants from the South. Like Fontana, they used to call that Funtucky. That was its name. And the KKK used to march up and down the streets of Fontana, just like they used to do in Portland, Oregon. That I didn't know Portland was as racist as it was, But that's a state that actually, that's the only state that was admitted into the Union that actually had it written into their constitution that this is a white-only state. Okay. Yeah.
That sounds like Florida, man. I mean, down here a few years back, Fruitland Park Police Department, they had a bunch of officers that were actually involved with local chapters of the KKK, and the feds came in as like decoys and basically bust up the whole department. And I think it was like 3 officers that were involved, they got arrested. So that's what we're dealing with here in Florida. I mean, you might not see it, like, you got to notice it if you're paying attention to what's really going on inside a lot of the agencies here. Like throughout Florida is very rural here. So in certain counties, you got to be very careful because it's so rural in different areas like me personally, I know way not to go and where to go at after a certain time.
Oh
So
my God.
I'm pretty sure y'all know about the sundown
Oh,
towns.
Antioch was definitely a sundown town, and they were proud of it. And it's this, they campaigned on, we want our town back. No, that's what we're up against. Those people, those sundown
So
people.
It's nothing
it's
changed,
here.
really. I mean, in Oakland, they used to have KKK meetings at the Henry J. Kaiser Center in the 60s. So it's nothing new.
Mhm.
And I can tell you right now that I looked it up while you're all talking. And during this Antioch police investigation, I think it was 6 or 8 officers. They earned nearly $1.8 million while on leave, just waiting to be criminally charged. That's our officers.
I know.
Yeah, they're on paid leave.
Seriously.
Wow.
It's disgusting.
And speaking of the KKK, when I've been doing my research into my cousin's case, Timmy, that we were talking about earlier in the show, I just posted on Timmy's Facebook page for those that still do Facebook. You can go to Reopen the Case of Timothy Charles Lee on Facebook, and I posted the 1977 article. So my cousin was killed in 85. So in 77, right here in the area, the staff writer for the main paper in the area, the Contra Costa Times, it was called at the time, interviewed 4 members of the KKK from the area who were actively recruiting in Contra Costa County. And I posted the article on Timmy's Facebook page, and they have a picture of them all with their arms crossed, and they got their hoods on and on their robes. And 2 of them are admittedly local police officers. And this was 1977 right here in the area. And the title of the article, I'm going to be paraphrasing here because I'm not looking at it, but it is the Klan in Contra Costa, local police sought for clavern. And that's what they called their club in the area, a clavern. Anyways, the article's posted on Timmy's Facebook page. I put the newspaper clipping, and then yesterday, as I mentioned earlier, I transcribed the article because you used to have to look at the newspaper article and try to read it on Facebook. It was really hard. So anyways, I read it into the computer and typed it down, and I have transcribed it. So you want to read something that was right in the neighborhood, right when my cousin was found hanging in a tree. Just about 8 years before that, the KKK was actively recruiting cops in the area. And then suddenly my cousin is hanging from a tree in the parking lot, and they're immediately saying he killed himself and destroying evidence and not wanting to look into it. And a witness says they saw a uniformed officer near the scene when they heard screams.
Yeah.
So anyways, talking about that group, it's happened the 60s, 70s, 80s. And we just saw like a month ago, people hanging banners over our freeway that said "Not white, not welcome," right here in Contra Costa County.
Yeah.
And people were taking pictures of it. It was on the news. It was on social media. And another thing, the Trumpers were out there on that Lafayette overpass the other day saying deport criminal aliens. And they were all up there doing that. So, yeah, we're up against a lot. And it's a little scary. And I really want
Are you guys familiar with Thomas Homan?
Oh, sorry about that. Go ahead.
Are you guys familiar with Thomas Homan?
No. Tell us about him.
He was actually he was a director over the Customs and Immigration while Trump was in office. So he was part of the big deportation of migrants coming across the border. So I caught whiff of him a couple nights ago, and I was like, let me do some research on him. So he actually was a former police officer. I couldn't get where he was a police officer at, but just by looking into his face, you can kind of tell like he's behind that like white supremacist like crew, so to speak.
We call them the Back to Blue clan out here.
I call them clan members.
That's a good that's a good name for them. But as I do a lot of research, like on people like Stephen Miller, who was an advisor with Trump, and like Harlan Crow, who's really funding all these like white supremacist group? It's the big money that's funding these boys to go
The
from
Koch
state to state.
brothers, the Koch brothers,
Them
Elon
too.
Musk, absolutely.
Or
Them
even,
too.
you know, you look at what Betsy DeVos did with billionaire money in Nebraska, and tricked folks into moving first one bill that it passed, and then they dropped it, but that bill was really only set up to create the path for the second bill, which was for them to be able to defund public schools and basically, fund private schools. And when she was Trump's education department person, she was already trying to do that while they were in office, but now they're doing it and moving those kind of things forward at the state level, in red states. And then like Nebraska, red state, and they got those folks to basically move, they tricked the public into moving those policies forward, and now the public is actively working to try and undo what was done, because once they realized what was happening, they realized it wasn't in their best interest. And so this billionaire money is affecting everything from schools to the shortage of housing, when you've got these corporate landlords who are buying up all of the property, and then becoming the worst slumlords that we're going to see going forward, unless something happens. If the folks like Darren was talking about, if we don't wake up, they will be rolling stuff back. And
so brother man, with that being said, is my cousin lives up in Detroit, Michigan, where the DeVos family lives at. But DeVos family, their pockets are very deep. I'm not sure if you're very familiar with the DeVos family, but their Bessie's father owned the Orlando Magic here in Orlando. So what she was doing in the district of Detroit, in the city of Detroit, was a lot of money was being diverted away from the public schools inside of Detroit and being tied into the charter schools in Detroit. So a lot of that money was being funneled back into her school system from a private sector standpoint. So when I thought about it, when she left the Trump administration, I said right away, I know exactly what she's doing. She's lining herself up properly to go ahead and start giving these vouchers out from a charter school to a private school standpoint. And here in Florida, I just moved back from Jacksonville. Before I moved away from Jacksonville, they were about to close 40 schools in that district. So over a 10-year time span, a lot of the enrollment, they lost a lot of students from the public schools and went to the charter schools. So think about it, where that money is going to, into the rich people pockets.
Yeah. They're professional money launderers.
Yep.
That's what I'm hearing about these folks out here too.
That's exactly what's happening. They funneling their money through these charter schools, these private schools, to where it's sick. You robbing the public schools. You robbing kids out of education.
Keep trying to tell people that.
It's like to me, it's like you want our kids to be dumb.
Yeah.
Well, we had a pocket of money. It was called the LCAP, the Local Control something, and that was meant to be used for funds for the youth. But that superintendent that got fired back in 2017, 2018, she hired one of the people that there's a local blog. She paid him and another blog person like $75,000 to write positive news on the school district. But that same blogger would push their recall agendas on multiple African American elected officials: Mayor Harper Wade, Deborah Vincent, Tamisha Torres Walker, Lamar Thorpe, Nicole Gardner. She was just a candidate, and they blogged the hell out of just to stir up that their And they've done it like over and over, but their game in Antioch is very well documented in how they roll. But even then, they still send these crazy flyers because people still don't know what happened. That's the reality. They're very organized. And so thank you for, shedding some light on that, even from the East Coast.
See, once people get into office, like you vote somebody in office, you got to light that fire up under their ass and stay on top of them, because once you don't light that fire up on them, they're just gonna do what the hell they want to do, and then before you know it, it's like, whoa, wait a minute, you push that agenda behind our back without saying anything to us. How's that right to the people in this city after we voted you into office? Like the same thing has happened in the district that I live in. The guy's very well known with the kids. He was a football coach, but he has his own agenda. People that, like parents that are on the, kids that are on the football team, he caters to them more than he caters to the people that actually in the community, still looking out for the community. So a good example of that would be is where I grew up at. I grew up in like low income housing, like up on the hood. Well, years back, that particular apartment complex, it was like 4 of them. They all got bulldozed down. And the reason why they got bulldozed down is because the superintendent that was over the housing authority, he was stealing money with one of the other directors. I think it was the assistant director, was stealing money. So the state came in and was like, nope, we'll still claim this property, but we're not going to put anything else. Well, we just got word that this same guy that's on the city commission in our district is trying to put a football field there. No, buddy, we need affordable housing here.
Okay, we got a buddy out here that's under investigation. If you look up Antioch, NBC superintendent Kenneth Turnage, we had an individual who left Alameda County, had to pay a $250,000 fine for abusing, creating a toxic hostile work environment. He came to the city of Antioch. He was part of all these recall efforts with the best buds, with the former Antioch police chief, with the superintendent. He got hired as staff. He got his own company getting hired that was handed down from his father, that was on Megan's list, called KTCU something construction. And then he was overseeing, it was a $2 billion bond, but because of people rising up and saying, hey, this is happening, he's wasting time of creating this toxic environment, getting away with it, he's under investigation. So he started selling all his office supplies, desks, everything back in June. However, he's been on paid administrative leave, collecting a lot of money, but he's also the same individual that advocating for dumping our district attorney's body. He was going to pay the Republic Services the fees to dump her body in a landfill. That's how emboldened these people in the districts are. We've reported them to the FBI, to the DOJ, but our tax dollars are paying his paid administrative leave right now. It's crazy.
Wow.
Send help. We need help out here.
Wow.
It's crazy. And then Frank has been a victim of police brutality 2 times. Once in 2004 or 2007, and another time recently.
2009 and then 2021.
Yeah, I think I remember you and I had spoke about that a while back. Last time I was on a Zoom call with y'all.
You were part of one of the Reimagine meetings, I remember.
Yeah. So how you doing since all that, man? You still have some trauma from that, like psychological trauma from that?
It hasn't been that bad. It was more right after the first one in 2009 when I really got beat up. Like some weird dreams about cops like chasing me and like riding my bike and just trying to dip around corners and lose them, and I was getting scared they were going to get me, stuff like that. But I was too traumatized. I felt like I was dealing with it okay. It was scary though. It always gets scary to think. When 2021 happened, I thought I didn't know what was going to happen to me. When I got to the jail, I thought that they, I mean, who knows what they can do to me. But like, this guy's back again. I didn't know if they would remember me or not. If there was anybody still like connected to that. I was pretty terrified to go back. But to tell you the truth, when I went back, after they kind of zapped me in 2021, they just kind of Antioch booked me, then took me to Martinez, and then I got bailed out right away. So it wasn't like the first time where they got me there. They were like
brutalizing you.
Yeah, brutalizing me in the back room and like putting me in the control hold and bending me into like funny shape, threatening me, scaring the hell out of me, and yeah, it was pretty scary. But I was stuck there at that time for about a little over 24 hours trying to get bailed out.
Thank God you're here, Frank.
Right.
We're up on time. It's 9 o'clock. Are y'all down to continue the conversation? Go ahead, Darwin.
Okay. So I don't know really much about California. So different pockets of California, is it like Republican in certain spots and then Democrats in certain spots? Is that how it really broken down out there in California?
No, it's everything everywhere. There's
So
no,
kind of like Florida.
yeah, and maybe like in the, I mean, it would probably be in those like faraway places like California, or something where it might just be certain people, but for the most part, at least where we are, it's everybody.
Yeah. So, and that's the kind of environment you want to be around, where it's very diverse. You want to try to stay away from the little rural areas where it's, the Confederate flags and all that, because that's where you got the KKKs and the skinheads and the Goyim Defense League. They're like this new Nazi group here in Florida. I'm pretty sure y'all probably seen them, throughout the country, but they pretty much got a stronghold here in Florida. But where they've been at more so is like down on the like southeastern part of the state, like down where Mar-a-Lago is, where Donald Trump lives at, or his property's at. And they very dominant down in that area. See, down that way, it used to be pretty blue, but now it's red. It's like Republican alley down that way. So I know my areas, throughout the state where I need to keep my gun on me at, and that's one of the areas where I have to keep my gun on me when I go down to that side of the state.
Indeed. Well, with that, let's go around. All of us are advocates here. Let's talk about real quick something that you have fought for, or somebody that you have fought for to get them justice or a policy change. Let's see. Who wants to go first?
So there was a gentleman that was up in St. Johns County, that's up by St. Augustine here in Florida, where I don't know if y'all heard about it, but there was a deputy that jumped out of the car he was working here on the visa. He was from Honduras. And the deputy that jumped out on him had a heart attack. And they tried to put the murder, like they tried to charge him with murder or manslaughter. So I got whiff of it, and I was like, you know what? Let me send an email to somebody that I know inside that works for Axios. So what he did, he shined some light on it, and he was like, we need to get the proper people on this case, because what they was trying to do, the state was trying to railroad him on a murder charge. Well, come to find out, the sheriff of that county was trying to cover up for the sergeant, basically. So the charges against the guy that was working here on a work visa, his charges were dropped, but he's waiting extradition to go back to his home country. But the lawyer that he has, the immigration lawyer that he has, he's trying to get a asylum now as we speak for him to stay here in Florida, to work through work visa and give him the citizenship, but through the grace of God, he walked away off of that charge.
Okay. And you showed up.
Yeah, I had to. I could not sit back and let that happen to that guy and was like, wait a minute. He was just sitting outside on the phone talking to like one of his relatives on the phone from back in his home country. And this deputy get out of the car and start asking them questions. And I'm like, wait a minute, I didn't think that there was something wrong with talking on the cell phone outside of a hotel room. And the guy was like, there was a language barrier. And I put that in the email. I said, wait a minute, he doesn't really speak English that well. So automatically there's a language barrier between officer that speaks English and he speaks Spanish. So there was a big barrier there, and he was like saying, no, 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 don't touch me. Like me, I would have did the same thing. Don't touch me. Why are you touching me? I haven't done anything wrong. So the sheriff, he called in backup, and of course they hooked him up, and he was in prison for about a good year. So by me escalating and communicating with some people, I was like, we got to shine some light onto this. So the same lawyer that Casey Anthony had was the same lawyer that represented this guy.
All right, all right. Well,
So-
that's a big move.
So you
Indeed.
gotta hit the keyboards and make phone calls if you're trying to make some real justice happen for people that you know that the system is out here railroading people. Because they'll do it. If you don't know the ins and outs and the statutes and penal code and all that, if you don't know that, they gonna run over you all day long.
They did that to a lot of folks out here in Contra Costa County, the Bay Area. I've heard that from families, that term, that their sons were railroaded. Okay, thank you for sharing that. Frank, I saw your hand go up. What policy, what did you do using your voice and advocate? What did you advocate for?
Man, I feel like I've done a couple things. I was really proud of doing 1421, the right to know, when we can look back into police officers' crimes when before we couldn't, crimes of like sexual assault. I'm blanking on what the other 4 or 5 were, lying under oath and stuff like that. It's been a while since we did 1421. That was years ago. And I was excited to work with the Kingos on the stuff with the body cams and the community response team, the crisis response team. But right now, I'm really proud of working for community along with you and other folks. And I'll just throw it out to remind folks that the walk to remember and reopen the case of Charles Lee is November 2nd, Saturday at 2 o'clock at the Rainbow Community Center in Concord. And we mentioned earlier, we'll walk through Los Santos Plaza down to the Park Station to the field where Timmy was found. And we'll have like there and maybe some more activities. We'll see what we have together confirmed tomorrow. And people want to join or find out more information, they can go to Reopen the Case of Timothy Charles on Facebook and
Change.org.
Yeah, and you can sign the petition on change.org. So if you do petitions online, head over to change.org and just Google whatever you search and just search Timothy Charles Lee change.org and you will get the petition to drop onto the reopen case. And we're trying to get to 500 this year, so hopefully we can do that. And yeah, that's some of the stuff I'm fighting for, and I'm working on Timmy's thing right now, and that'll be Saturday.
Thank you,
Thank
Frank.
you for getting this in with time on Saturday, Frank.
3 o'clock at the Rainbow Community Center.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll go next. I advocated for veterans to have a permanent veteran resource center representative full-time on community campuses in the state of California. So we went to the state capitol, advocated to have a full-timer in the veteran spaces, and we got it. And big time on police accountability out here. Big time on
That's
police
good.
reform.
That's real good.
Nicole, would you? Sorry, go ahead, Darwin.
No, I was saying we need that. We need some
Yeah.
accountability, man, because
Indeed.
that's one atmosphere that's very kind of broken, because you got good officers that want to come forward, but at the same time you got the bad ones that's trying to drag them underneath, to make them look bad. Not all cops are bad cops, and the reason why I say that is because
It's true.
I volunteered for the Seminole County Sheriff Office here for a good while. And I did a lot of ride-alongs with some of the deputies, and some of them, they do have empathy and sympathy in certain aspects. And then some of them are just, you have that click. You know, if you're not in that click, they're gonna try to run you over all the time.
Okay, well, good to know. Miss Nicole, I've seen you on YouTube. I've seen you on infomercials. Tell us what you fought for.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. You have a commercial that's running for Gems at Home, the ad that I did, an interview with them last year when we were fighting for Just Cause, which we now have. Lobby Day in Sacramento. It's been a lot, you know. AB 567. I mean, SB 567 it's been like a whirlwind of all these things. The one thing that I'm very disappointed is I was a proponent for all of our, you know, rights that we have in Antioch, Pittsburgh, but it failed because of invalid signature. So I was pretty upset and devastated about that for the city of Pittsburgh. But I will continue that fight. But yeah, I've been a part of a lot of great things. Glad to see that there's rent control, that there's tenant anti-harassment, that there's Just Cause in Antioch, and now that there's rent control, Just Cause in Concord. We can get it here in Pittsburgh. They're stronger. We did get stronger, I should say, laws for the state of California on a whole. But it is important to have it in each city because you already know how it is. There's always loopholes. There's always bad actors. You have Blackstone, BlackRock, and all these trash, you know, FPI management and all these, you know, trash people out here that's taking advantage of, you know, people. I'm out here basically fighting on this Belmont Apartments because they're out here trying to swindle people and whatnot, like raising people's rents while they're on lease and then giving 60-day notices before your lease is up. And then if you don't give a 30-day notice, they're trying to make you stay longer and pay more. But wait, you just gave me a 60-day notice. So why would I give you a 30-day notice if you gave me a 60-day notice? Like, what is it that you're trying to do? You know, and then telling tenants that, like, oh, even if there's a speck of dust, we're going to charge you cleaning fees. Always trying to find a way to take advantage of somebody. So we're trying to make sure we stop all of that everywhere. That's why it's so important to vote yes on Prop 33 and no on Prop 34, because we are trying to repeal Costa-Hawkins, because Costa-Hawkins is trash, and it will give everybody, whether you're in an apartment, whether you're living in a home, everyone will be able to take advantage of rent control and all the things that we have in place. So,
and we'll run back who we support, who you support, policies. Lauren, drop us some knowledge on what you have advocated for in policy.
So advocated for AB 2263, which was an assembly bill to create a coordinating council that would take a look at all of the guaranteed income pilots here in California, but also the pilots across the entire state, entire nation, which is well over 100 guaranteed income pilots, to really do a deep dive and explore, you know, infrastructure, funding opportunities, and priority populations for the first iteration of California's guaranteed income program. And that it would create an 11-member council made up of lawmakers, participants, practitioners, advocates in the GI space to do that starting next year. If the bill would have passed, we got the bill all the way to the governor's desk, but he didn't sign it, which was pretty much expected given the budget situation that we have here in California right now. And so that's but that was a good win to get it to his desk at the state level. And then here in the county, we just got a win of total amount of $4.25 million to have some publicly funded guaranteed income pilots here in our county. And pretty sure everybody else on this call was a contributor into making that happen. So it definitely was not just me in that win that we got in a fairly conservative county. And so yeah, very much looking forward to keeping and moving that work forward.
All right. I love it. I love it. We got a group of advocates here. And there's so many more out there in the community. Those of you that have shown up to city council meetings, school board meetings, board of supervisors, state assemblies, like all of this matters. But if you don't have time to go to any of that, look, you can vote because people died advocating to make that a right, literally. And we're still fighting. There's people out there trying to block and find these loopholes, but like luckily we passed a law where folks that even if they're felons or if they have a record, they can still vote. And Darwin, you schooled me on the redlining that occurs in prisons. You know, that we know that it happens in real estate, but it happens in prisons too. So yeah, no, that's pretty much it. I think just it's important to understand redlining, what it means, tax dollars, how many bodies in a space. It's going to come to a point where the government can no longer profit off of people. Like, I'm praying that we could see that in our lifetime, because this involuntary servitude and people serving life sentences and extensive for minimal or victimless crimes. It's crazy. Change is coming and we can do it together. Nicole, do you want to run down before we close out, like, yeses and nos? Who do you support? Who do you think?
Yeah.
I'll help
Okay,
you.
where should I start?
Let's start with Let's start with school board. Like this.
So school board, D. Brown, Olga, Cobo Smith, re-elect Antonio Hernandez, obviously, but he's unopposed, so that shouldn't be a problem, thank God. So it'll be a good, solid board, and once they get rid of that one person too. But either way, Dr. Jag, Antonio,
they've been killing it.
That'd be great. Yeah.
If it wasn't for them, this 100% equity audit wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
And
then for Antioch, obviously re-elect Lamar Hernandez Thorpe so we can continue moving forward with progress. Jorge Rojas for treasurer.
Okay.
And Addison Peterson and Dominique King for city council. And then is that it for, I think that's it for Antioch, right? And then for Pittsburgh, re-elect Mayor Juan Banales, Vice Mayor Jelani Killings. Pittsburgh, I think that's it for Pittsburgh. And then for Pinole, Christy Lamb.
Dang. I met her. She's nice.
City council.
Yeah.
And for Richmond, re-elect Melvin Willis. There's somebody else I'm forgetting. I'm so sorry that I'm forgetting it. For Martinez. Gosh darn it. I am so sorry. Young? Yeah, Young. And then I think that's like all of the
Wells, Preston, what was
Oh, I'm not, I got it. Hey. I didn't forget
saving the best for last.
Yeah. I'm just trying to make sure I'm through all the so my whole little spiel also, because we run into people who are not wanting to vote for president and things like that. And not that I can't understand everyone's point, I do. But I think what people don't understand is Project 2025, Agenda 47, just the fact that Trump wants to be a dictator, just the fact that it's not even the fact that he's a felon, because felons can be reformed. The fact is you are a newly convicted, haven't gone to prison, served a term felon, and the things that you are convicted of is a problem. I don't even understand why he's able to run, but whatever. He's trying to stay out of prison. So what I need people to understand is if he wins, it's going to be bad for everybody because the fact that he can elect officials to be judges and all these other positions, right? That's going to affect us directly no matter what. So I think the thing people need to understand is it does matter who the president is because of the people that they're going to put into place. Because he's not going to put anybody into place that's going to benefit any of us in any way. So it is important to vote for the president because we don't need that man back in office. And then that's all I'm going to say about that because everything local is always important. Whomever you start from with the bottom, they're going to keep rising up. So you want to get good people at the bottom.
And everyone you mentioned, I gotta say, yeah. Otherwise, the others is like part of the same establishment.
Exactly.
And that's what we cannot. That's what we're not gonna do.
And Chanel Scales Preston for District 5 because you actually want someone with integrity, someone that actually cares about everybody in the county, not just some people in the county, and someone who's not running around slandering their opponent instead of standing on their policies, and someone who is not going to also not just run on like, oh, I used to be a police officer. No, that's not enough to promote you up to supervisor. You did nothing in Antioch. And the fact that you're slandering her and the fact that you're even slandering Pittsburgh, which is crazy because he used to be PD in Pittsburgh. His son is PD in Pittsburgh. So why would you be slandering the city that you're asking to represent? Because Pittsburgh is part of your district that you will represent in the supervisory level. But you're slandering Pittsburgh. I literally just saw a commercial just tonight where they're talking about Pittsburgh. First of all, our crime rate is not high. And again, your council.
We've been using that same playbook from Jim Crow era for like ever.
Yeah, and still trying to say we don't have grocery stores. I'm sorry, but we have Safeway, we have Winco, we have Foods Co, we have Cardania's, we have several markets all around. Like, stop saying we don't have grocery stores. Target didn't leave because of crime. It was some corporate BS and that, again, not Chanel's fault. Target left because Target wanted to leave. It has nothing to do with anything that she did. She did everything she was supposed to do. The whole council did. So they keep trying to come up with things and throw stuff in, and it's all. But he won't talk about that he changed his voting party 9 times. He won't talk about the fact that he's Antioch City Council and does nothing. He won't talk about District 2 where he does nothing. He won't talk about he owns property off of Sycamore on Pepper Tree, but yet where are you at trying to combat the violence that's going on over there, right? Like, we don't know that you, Burnell, Freitas, that whole little clan, what you guys are trying to do. We already know what the playbook is, so stop.
One of the, I think it's Freitas, I heard that he retired from the school district in the 90s or something, and his retirement's like 200,000.
Right. And now you want to be city, it's like him crazy. And Burnell want to swap. Burnell used to be city manager when the cops were out here beating and killing everybody and didn't do anything about it and claims he knew nothing about it. And Freitas was the mayor. So hello. So now y'all want to swap places.
I didn't know that one. Okay, good to know.
City manager and Burnell wants to be mayor. Like, so come on, y'all. You're not gonna get it back. So stop. Like, stop with the nonsense. I don't even understand why you guys are even trying to. Like, why?
If they want their town back.
You know what I mean? Like, come on.
But our diversity is beautiful. The love and power and resilience of our people, despite the cards that have been thrown at everybody. It's going to take our collective power to continue just addressing what has transpired. How did we get here? Where are we going to go from here?
Right.
And so no matter who you vote for, you all can vote for whoever you want. Just vote.
Right.
Vote.
It's important.
But Miss Nicole, you dropped some bars with who's for the people. I agree
I mean,
with.
vote for your best interest. Like, why would you want to vote against your own self? That's the crazy part to me.
Indeed, indeed. Thank you, Miss Nicole.
Yeah.
Darwin had to hop off. He said that it was a pleasure to be on tonight and to keep fighting and stay grounded. So let's continue. Don Carlos, do you want to? We can go in a round robin. That's my closeout. Y'all are amazing. Our community out there, keep in touch, vote, exercise your right. We have a civic duty. We can show up in any public space we want. It's up to us to design what it should look like. How can we thrive? How can everyone thrive? It's up to us, the people. So let's show up.
That's right. Wow,
Lauren?
we went almost a half hour overtime. Oh, go
Sorry,
ahead.
Carlos.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, you're
Lauren.
fine.
No, I thought we were about to say goodbye.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Carlos, go ahead.
Right. All right. So goodbye. No, just kidding. Hey, sorry. Thanks for tuning in, everybody, to another East County Voices. And next week will be the day after the election. We'll be on the 6th, right?
We still won't know. It's going to take some time for
Yeah,
them to
we
count
still
all the
won't
ballots.
know, but yeah,
that's the deadline.
Fun next week too. So
yeah,
hopefully everybody can come back and share their experience. I mean, and yeah, everybody's right. Get out there and vote. So, oh wait, we got one more thing here. Let's see what to say.
I'm so sorry.
Go ahead, Nicole.
I forgot to say something super important. Just so that everybody knows, turn out in support for the Kidd family to support Lynette Kidd and Kimberly Kidd and the rest of the family, because Alexander P. Mayorga decided to drive drunk and kill Linda Woobridge, and he's out on bail, which he shouldn't be. They're not taking this, they're being too lenient with this case. You don't get to drive drunk and kill someone, and now her babies have to be growing up without her. He may get 12 years, possibly, if the judge John Cope is for giving him the max, but it's not even likely. So we just want to show up and rally and let them know that it's not okay. So Wednesday morning, 8 a.m., Pittsburgh Courthouse. We need to show up and let them know that we support and we stand behind. We need to hold her up because her daughter was murdered. She was only 29 years old. She left 2 babies that have to be raised without her for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
Because someone decided they wanted to drive drunk, and they're trying to say, oh, he's a single dad. Then guess what? He should have had his ass at home with his baby instead of driving drunk and killing someone else. So I'm sorry. We don't get to, no, that's not how that works. We don't feel sorry for you.
I was right down the street from my home. I drive by her memorial every day.
Yes. So rest in peace to Linda, and, pray for the family, and let's support them and be in court again. And hopefully it won't be disappointing this time. So we'll see what happens.
All right. And Saturday, 3:00, Rainbow Community Center, Concord. We'll have a walk. We will say Timothy Charles Lee's name. And we will have a small action and vigil in his honor to reopen the case. Si se puede.
That's right.
Okay.
That it?
I think we're all waiting for the music, Carlos. What's going on, man?
I know, right? I don't know. I'm like waiting. Okay, here we go.
Nobody knows what's happening without that music. There we go.
There.
Eat, Carlos.
Anyways, right. Thank you all for tuning in. I hope we enlightened you a little bit on our side and our opinions, and tune in next week and see what we got. We have anything we're talking about next week, or are we just gonna flow?
It's open.
We don't know.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah. Right. Anyway.
Yep.
And Wednesdays, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And don't look at that. Okay?
We'll update that. We'll update that. Oh man.
We gotta update that. I've been so busy all week, but
Tell me about it.
anyways, be safe tomorrow. All you kids out there, stay with your parents. It's gonna be Halloween, and still to this day, even me as a kid, always have your parents check your candy. Be safe. They be driving fast out there, y'all. So keep your kids close. You always hear, "Oh, I just took my eyes off him for a second." No, watch your kids. Reflective tape, whatever, if you have to. I know it's gonna mess up the costumes or whatever, but at least your kid will be safe. Anyway, be safe, have fun, and we'll see y'all next week. 8 o'clock Wednesday, not Thursday, p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and we're out.
Later.
Bye. Thank you.